I hate that I have to do this video, man. But I do believe that Crip Mac, he is about to have a serious come to Jesus moment. And I'm going to play this clip for you that I did, I think a few months back. And I was just kind of just talking about, warning him that he needs to, what I'm saying, kind of tighten up the shit, man, because he's starting to gain popularity, make that legitimate money. Take a look at this clip real quick and then we'll talk about it.
For you, Crip Mac, all I can say is, man, you're going to continue to grow. You know what I'm saying? As long as you can stay out of trouble, stay out of jail, keep going on the right path, you know what I'm saying? Things are going to expand for you. But just know from this point on, everything that you do, whatever moves that you make, wherever you're traveling to, you have to be careful. Even for people that you feel are in your circle and you feel like y'all been rocking for a while and you good, you're going to have to even watch the people that's in your circle. Because as we know, the threats, the real threats, they're not going to come from a stranger, come from the outside. The real threats are going to come from the inside.
Now, for some people, this might sound crazy, but if Crip Mac does end up going to prison and he has to do a decent amount of time, I think this might end up being the best thing for him. I think this might be the call to Jesus moment or the come to Jesus moment that he needs to really be able to grasp certain things and to really try to shift his life in a different direction. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but over the years, I've talked to so many inmates, right? Just over the years. And one of the common themes it is, I wish, what I'm saying? I wish I could have did this. I wish I did that. I should have did this, this, that, and the other, right? But then they say prison most likely saved my life. Prison is what changed me. And again, for people that never done time, that's going to sound ludicrous. That's going to sound out of the world. But when you go to prison, right, we can't make you change. Now, prison, I know they say it's supposed to be rehabilitation and all that kind of stuff. All you're doing in prisons, you're just warehousing people. That's all it is. Now, we offer tools for you to be a better man or a better woman, but it's up to you if you want to take those tools. But, on the default, prison is just to warehouse people. And I've met people over the years that said, man, being locked up, I came to terms with the real me. And, I had to wrestle with that. It was hard, but I've changed for the better. And I'm getting ready to get out. I'm going to live a different life, a more productive life. All that gang stuff, I want to leave it alone, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had that conversation. And I remember this one OG Crip, right? He turned 50. This was several years ago. And he was like, hey, he was telling people that, hey, it was my birthday. I just turned 50. So we chopped it up just a few minutes. And he was just like, man, he said my name. He's like, turning 50, this is a blessing. Now, mind you, this dude, at this time, he was a lifer. Now he got out. He's on the street, but at this time, he was a lifer. He had that elbow. And he was just like, this prison, it really changed me. And, I was able to learn about myself, the way I used to think about things. I'm not the same. And he was like, prison really saved my life, because if I was on the streets still doing what I was doing with the gang banging and all that stuff, I will most likely be dead. So one thing I can say with this situation, right? I do believe that it's a come to Jesus moment for Crip Mac. And I do believe that this is probably going to be the best thing for him. Now, I'm not trying to judge because I don't know everybody that's in his circle, right? But I don't know how many people are in his circle that are legitimate, people that's in his circle that have pure intentions, that they don't see him as a money sign, but they see him as a man and they want him to do better. You know what I'm saying? But while he's doing that time in prison, he's going to have a lot of time to think about things. Whatever things that he did or didn't do, he's going to have plenty of time to think about that if he does prison time. Now, I'm going to tell you a few more things about this. I don't want to go on too long with this because I'm not trying to celebrate or rejoice in this brother's situation. But one thing I can also say, the reason why I think, okay, let me say this first before I move on. Over the years, there's been people that it only takes them one time, to be locked up to where they say, hey, you know what? This ain't for me. I'm cool. I don't want that no more. I'm going to live a good life. I'm going to follow the rules. I'm going to obey the law, all that, right? So sometimes some people, it only takes them one time and they change and they, you know what I'm saying, live a better life. But for other people, it takes them, it seems like a million times until they understand. Now, in the situation with Crip Mac, from what I understand, you know, through different videos and stuff, he's, you know, been in and out of jail upon his own admittance. But then I think he might have done like maybe one or two stints in prison that were wasn't too significant of amount of time or whatever. But in this situation, if he goes over to the feds and he has to do all that time, because from what I hear, he's looking at like 15 years. But if he does that kind of time, that's going to change him, and that's going to be, that's a lot of time. And before all this stuff happened, right, he was on that upward climb. You know what I'm saying? He was building a brand. People were following him on Instagram, on YouTube, all these different things, and he was making money legitimately, building a brand. But he only got a taste of it, and with him getting that taste, now he's going away for a long time. So now this is just my opinion. I have, again, just my opinion. I think this is going to be a come to Jesus moment for him. For one, he's looking at a lot of time, and if he has to do that time, he's just going to have to do that time. But then two, I think he has something to look forward to. Obviously, you could say his family. I already might have a kid on the way. I'm not sure, right? But he got a taste of what, you know, that celebrity feeling can be like, or that brand building. And with that taste, I don't think he's going to forget that taste, because I can almost promise you, if he does do that time, however amount of time he does, every single day that he's in prison, he's going to be thinking about, man, I could have been doing this video. I could have been doing that video. I could have been trying to work on this collab, work on that collab, all these different things. You know what I'm saying? So I really do. Now, again, I could be wrong. I've been wrong with other things before, right? But it's just something about this situation, it hits different. Because when you go with the feds, you look up some videos, right, on people talking about the feds. The feds over there, they don't play. You know what I'm saying? You're going to do, I think they say like 85% of your time. And then on top of that, you know, their conviction rate, I think, what is it, like 97 or 98% conviction rate or whatever. It's rare that people will actually go to trial in the federal courts to try to, you know, go against the government. They usually plead out because it's just, they got you. Now, I know they talked about Irv Gotti years ago with Murder Inc. and all that stuff. That was like unprecedented. He should have gave his life to the Lord after that, because for him to beat that big old case that he had against the feds, that normally does not happen. So, yeah, I really do believe that this is going to be the best thing that could have ever happened to him. Now, I know some people are going to get their tomatoes. They're going to throw it at their computer screen, their TV screen, their cell phone at me, whatever. But just trust me when I'm telling you, I'm not saying this to be facetious or trying to be like funny. I just mean that, you know, there's a lot of inmates that I met that I remember when they first came in, they was just buck wild, fighting all the time, stabbing people up, being real active in that stuff. And then as time goes on, they kind of start to mellow out. They start to change. They're still dangerous. You know what I'm saying? They still can bring that business. But as time goes on, when you're in prison, if you take your time serious, you know, you might link up with other people that are knowledgeable. You know what I'm saying? The older inmates, they might try to spit that game, try to help you, you know what I'm saying, turn your life around. So he's going to have that time to do that for sure. All right. So now let me play this other clip that I did. And I believe I did this for the Lil Boosie or Boosie video a while ago when he got picked up by the feds as well. But take a look at this, and then I'll talk a little bit, and then I'm going to close this out.
Why do they, instead of focusing on, you know, making the legitimate money that they're making, they want to still
Hold on. Let me
I
back
don't
it up a little bit.
understand for the life of me why these rappers, entertainers, celebrities, athletes, whatever you want to call them, why do they, instead of focusing on, you know, making the legitimate money that they're making, they want to still dibble and dabble in the streets. They want to still be associated or involved in the gang life and all that stuff, man. It just leads to destruction. You know, now it's never okay to be engaged in illegal activity, but you know, we know that it's a reality. Some people, they engage in criminal activity, in their opinion, out of a need of necessity or for survival, whatever. Again, it's never okay. but people do it for various reasons. But when you're finally in a position to where you can make money legitimately and make that money hand over fist, something should click in your mind to say, you know what, let me leave this street life alone. Let me back away from this gang stuff and let me focus on making this legitimate money.
Now, I said that back then, and I'm going to say it again now. For all you entertainers out there, excuse me, celebrities, public figures, whatever you are, I get it, right? You grew up in the streets. Gangs is all you knew, because some people, they don't understand, right? When people grow up on a farm, they become farmers because they've seen their family engaged in the farming activity. You know what I'm saying? It can be the same way if people grow up on the streets and they grow up in the hood and all they see is gang violence. That's what they're going to most likely partake in. It's because you're just a product of your environment. But as you get older, your mind should start to click. Things should start to change that you want better. And I'm telling you, all you celebrities and athletes and public figures, whatever it is, if you are making legitimate money, I mean, you shouldn't be doing anything illegal anyways. But if, you know what I'm saying, now you're finally able to make legitimate money and you're able to actually make clean money, you need to leave that stuff behind. That street life will drag you down. You know what I'm saying? If it's something about the gang, especially for Black culture, a lot of times, you get put on, meaning you get jumped. And then if you want to get out of the gang in good standings, whatever, you get put off. Now, it may not be that easy, for the Hispanic cars and the white cars, but at least for the Black folks, worst case scenario, get put off, go live your regular life. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, prison is not fun. Prison is not cool. It is not hip. Ain't nobody walking around, you know what I'm saying, and they got women on their arms while they're in prison, and the flashy music playing. Ain't none of that going on. They are miserable in there. They are bored in there, and they wish that they could have done things differently. So please listen to me. If you're an entertainer, or if you're whatever and you came from the streets, you can't dib and dab in both. You got to let it go. Live that legitimate life. If you feel like, oh, well, it's not that easy because, the gang life I did, or I got ops on the street, move away, move somewhere else. And here, look at this, for example, right? Let's say, for instance, hypothetically, let's say Crip now was like, nah, man, I got to stay to the homies. I got to keep the strap on me because, I got the ops. Well, move. So even if you don't want to move, now that he's in the feds, he could be forced to move. He could end up in Florida. He could end up in New York. He could end up anywhere in the country. So he's going to be moving involuntarily. So take it upon yourself to move voluntarily. Leave that life. Again, I'm not going to judge you because you might just be a product of your environment. You grew up in that. That's all you know. And your whole life, you've just been surviving. But I'm here to tell you that there is a better life. I'm here to tell you that you can make legitimate money. You can make clean money. You can live a life to where you don't have to look over your shoulders. You can live a life to where you don't have to worry about what color baseball hat or what type of baseball hat or sporting hat you're wearing. You know what I'm saying? You can live a life to where it doesn't matter what colors you're wearing. You can walk to Walmart, to Target, or wherever you want to go, and you can be in somewhat, a peace of mind. You don't have to look over your shoulder all the time. That has to just weigh extremely heavy on people. So please take my advice. As somebody that works in the prison, I talk to inmates all the time. I can't even begin to tell you. I can't even count how many times I've had these conversations with inmates where they said they wish they could have done things differently. They wish they would have listened to their mama, their grandmama, their daddy, whoever it is. But if you have an opportunity, if you came from the streets, if you came from that illegal activity, and you are presented with an opportunity to make clean money and to make good money, take it and leave that life behind. Don't worry about, well, what are people going to think about me? Well, if you end up in prison, is it really going to matter what they think about you? You know what I'm saying? Is it really going to matter? While they out on the street going to Applebee's, going to the Cheesecake Factory, you going to the chow hall, or you eating, whatever in the unit. You know what I'm saying? So just focus on trying to make legitimate money, trying to live, you know what I'm saying, a correct life. Oh man, I could go on and on forever about this, but I legitimately think that I hate that Crip Mac has to be in this situation, but looking at this just as a CEO, I do think that this is going to be his come to Jesus moment. And this might be what the doctor ordered. And again, that's not trying to be sarcastic, facetious, nothing like that. But he's facing a lot of time. So for any of y'all young folks that's watching this, or if your parents or your uncle made you watch this, just know, man, there's a better life. That gang life, all that thugging and stuff, it leads to a dead end. It leads to a dead end. It can deprive you of a good life. It can snatch you away from your family, and you're in the grave, and now your family has to grieve for you. And with him being away, you know what I'm saying, his family ain't going to just be able to just get up in the morning and go see him whenever they want, or hug him or talk to him. Everything is going to be completely different if he ends up doing this time. So until the next one, say no to drugs, give your life to the Lord, whatever it is, man. But just that lifestyle, man, I get it. It's about survival, but once you reach a certain age, your mentality should change. The things that you want in life, your goals and your priorities, they should change to where you start wanting to do something else. But sometimes, unfortunately, that changing process or that changing agent doesn't hit you until you get locked up. And in this situation, I think this is probably what's going to happen to Crip Mac. So until the next one, holla at your boy.